So to get a rivet out, you may already have the tools at home. What I've been using for years are just the sockets that, you get in your typical socket set. So if I have a 8 millimeter diameter rivet, then I'll use an 8 millimeter socket to remove it. Now, granted, sometimes these are, taller and they're wobbly, so you may want to look around the house for, say, a nut that is the same size. However, here's the 8 millimeter post. It doesn't really go through that. It's too snug of a fit, and this nut might damage this. I also found these in my toolbox. These are like collars of some sort. I don't really know exactly where I got them, but like this one, it's smaller on this side, and it looks like it's larger on that side, but it's short, so it's more sturdy. And I believe the 8 millimeter, it just fits in there. So this would be something good to use. But, a lot of people aren't going to have this. But a lot of people have sockets. So I'm going to go with the socket, and you can see it just fits in there. It's actually, this seems a little large. But if I try the 7 mil, it's too tight. So I have to go with the 8 mil, because the 7 mil will just bite on the edges. So now these are solid brass rivets, but they were junky, so I had them in my junk pile. They're not really that great, but they are solid brass. And I usually get my rivets from Buckle Guy. These aren't from Buckle Guy. These are from someone else on Amazon. But Buckle Guy has the best rivets, and he has them in solid brass or not solid brass. It's just some sort of steel alloy. But at any rate, so I'll use this as my tool. And before I use the socket, I like to punch a hole in the cap side. And sometimes you don't know what side is the cap side, and some of my rivets, the cap is bigger than the post. For these, since they're both kind of small, you can kind of see that the post is slightly smaller. Here's a caliper. Make sure it's zeroed out. And let's see, try to get the cap. 7.76. And the post. Oh, so they're about the same. So it is nice if you know, which is the cap and which is the post. So in this case, I marked them and I remembered. So what I like to do is I like to punch a hole in the cap side with this tool. And this is it says bead buddy, and you can get it on Amazon. And what it is it's very pointy. It's got a sharp, angled, pointed knife or what have you. And it's supposed to go through steel thin, soft steel like jewelry and so on to make a little hole for your necklace or what have you. And it really works well just to puncture the cap with just a hole in the cap. And it even has this here if you want to stop so that it doesn't go all the way through. But it doesn't. It stops just at the cap, if you put it with this part on the cap. And I like to use it first because it just makes me a center hole. But if you don't have one of these, and I'll have links, not links, but I'll post a screenshot of some of these tools. But if you don't have this to punch a hole, I guess you could use a nail to punch a hole. You could use the center punch to punch it, but this one that I bought is the spring type, and I really don't like it. I wish I would have bought the one that you just hammer. However, I noticed I can still hammer this without it bending, but this is what a center punch is. It, like if you wanted to drill wood, you would put this where you'd want the hole to start with your drill and then lift up, and then it starts a hole for you. If you wanted to use this though to make your hole, I don't think it would work. I could try. It's gonna slip, that's why I don't like it, but I'll try it. Well, it did make a little bit of a dent. So, or you can try, like I said, just a nail. This is just a carpenter's nail. And that made a hole. And so, or like I said, this will make the hole right away. Like it's already there, but this will snap right in and it'll just quickly make the hole for you. You don't have to worry about pounding anything. And I could show you with another set of rivets how nice this works. But like I said, most people aren't going to have this, so you can use a nail or the center punch if you have one. So then once that's started and I kind of have my center, then I'll take my socket and I'll put the post side into the socket, and you can see it's very tight fit, but yet it fits all the way around it. And then I like to use the center punch because it's got a lot of beefiness to it, even though it has the spring. It works for me. But since a lot of people don't have this even, I'll try and use maybe the larger nail. This nail is quite a bit thicker. And I guess, it's 3 mils. So, whereas this one was, nothing, 2.39 mils. I probably could use this one, but the thicker your tool, the more power and torque you have. Well, maybe not torque, but just more power. You don't have to pound as hard and so on. I'll go ahead and I'll just use the nail since that's what most people have. And maybe on the second one, I'll use this tool to make the hole, and I'll use the center punch for pounding. You have to remember that. So, but for this one, I'll use the nail. So I'm going to have to go on the ground. So this is just a 5/8 inch piece of wood. I just feel like the wood on the floor seems to work. So we'll put the post side down. And I'm going to use this nail. And this nail is so long, so it's kind of hard to use. It really is hard to use. because it's so long, but I'm going to try. And with this being tall, it does make it hard. So they're both too tall. But I got my fingers down here at the base, and I'm supporting both of them. So I gave it 4 quick taps, and you could see, you know, it did come out a little bit. And I guess you could try and see if you could pull it out, but it's not, you know, it's definitely not going to come out. So I'll try it again. So that was 4 taps. Okay, I felt it slide through now. It should be out, and it is. So the post is down there, and I'll have to push it out this way once I get this out. I don't know if you could see it. It's just slightly mushroomed. It came out really nice. And there's my hole. It's not damaged or anything. And there it is there on that side. I'll just show them. There's the front. And then this will stick on there. I mean, you can hammer it off easily. And then with this, oh, it just came out. It came right out. But if it didn't, I could have just taken it from this side where you see the little square. You know, that goes on your bit. You could have just pushed it out this way or put it like this, put your nail in and tapped it out. And now I'll do it again using the other 2 tools. Okay, so now we'll use this bead buddy to punch a hole in the cap side. So just try to get in the center. And you should hear it just click real easily. There. I don't know if you heard that snap. It didn't really go very far. Let me go a little farther. There we go. Boy, that's really in there. So instead of fighting with it, I'll just kind of... Boy, that's never happened. Okay, there we go. So there's my hole. And so the post side's going to go down. And I'm going to use this tool, even though it's got a spring, I'm going to use it with the hammer. I mean, I guess you could go and just put it in and try to use it with this, just the spring, and see if it'll work. I don't know. I've never tried it. I guess I will. I'll try it both ways, with the hammer and with that. I'll try it with just the spring first. I mean, since you have a little punch in there, you know, you're not going to slip around too much. So I'll try it first without the hammer and just use this as a spring and see if it even does anything. It may not. Yeah, it went down a little, but, you know, it did nothing. You really need the power of the hammer. So... And there I felt it slip down. As soon as you feel it slip down, you kind of know it worked. And there it is. It's inside there. And it's mushroomed out a little bit, but it still came out. I mean, it has to mushroom. That could have been how it was mushroomed, you know, when it was originally set. And here, this just came right out of the hole. And so it looks like I made a little bit larger hole this time. Oh, it's got part of the mushroom in here. Or, yeah, you can kind of see in the metal is sticking up. Let me show you in the light. So it could have been that I tapped too hard or just the way it set. I don't know. So I can see, you can see the metal in there. And then you can see it here. It's narrower. So I could technically push it out that way, since this is where all the mushrooming is. So let's just see. I could just try it with my fingers, but you know, that's kind of dangerous. You could cut your finger. Or you could take your hammer and just try and hammer it. You do want to wear eyewear because I see little flakes of possibly metal. Let me put that by the garbage. So let's see if it'll come out. And there it is, mushroomed. And I can just pull it out this way with some, these are those crescent pliers that are locking. But I can just pull it out. And if you have to take it through this side, you could use these also to smash, you know, to smash it. They're locked, but you can make it even, dial it to make this tight all the way. You know, I don't know if I'll ever get it. No, it's just going to be a circle. So without, you know, pressing down too hard, I just pulled it right out. And again, I didn't, whoops, where did it go? Oh, there it is. So that was probably the mushroomed part. Let's see. That, now this was the cap side. So again, there's no damage. And then this is the other side. So even though it looked like the hole was big, that was just the mushrooming side sticking up. This part was still small, this side. Let's turn this over. So this was the post, and I don't know, maybe this was attached to this cap, because I remember caps, yeah, they do have, let me get this out. These are nice because they have a slot. Yeah, so this must have been attached to the cap. You know how caps are, they have, I have to get another cap to show you here. You see how the caps have that thing that mushrooms out? So that was already mushroomed. That could, because it was part of the cap. So either I hit it really hard and I separated these two pieces. You know, they got separated or what. But so that's the cap and that's the, this is the cap on that side, and then this is the post on that side. If you could see that. So, but either way, it did work. So if you do see the mushrooming, that's what happened. If it's really mushroomed like that, that's probably what happened. The cap separated. I used to think that the mushrooming was the post mushrooming out, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it's the cap separating. So there's a piece of metal here. You do have to be careful when you do this. Like I said, you have to wear eyewear. So since I got that mushrooming, I'm going to try it again, and I'm going to use this tool. Because I used to think that this was causing the mushrooming. But maybe not, because I got it with just using this, which was the same diameter, you know, all the way through. So let's just see. So I have another one. There's my post side. Here's my cap side. I'll go ahead and make a hole with this tool. Okay. So there you go. And post side down. And I am going to have to go on the floor. 1 sec. Okay. So 8mm on the 8mm socket. I'll use this tool this time. Okay, I felt it come down. It dropped out, and let's see what happens when I take the cap out. Okay, and it stayed. So the part of the cap that mushroomed on the last one, you know, it's separated. It didn't separate on this one this time. So it stayed intact. So that's interesting. And there's my hole there. Doesn't look like I damaged it. And there's the post side, that one. Let's go up in the light. So there's the post there. And then there's the cap. So it did stay intact. So I don't know. Maybe you can use them when the diameter is not the same. I've had different results inconsistently now. So maybe you just don't want to tap very hard. Maybe you want to be gentle. Maybe I was tapping too hard and so on. So yeah, you could use a nail, a center punch, or this setting tool, I guess, and just don't tap real hard. You can use this to make your hole if you don't have this tool here. I have had it though where this separates, and like you saw where it stayed in the fabric and it's mushroomed out. And sometimes I've had it to where this part that mushroomed out is sticking to the post. So then it can only come out by taking your pliers and trying to, you know, smash this mushroom that's separated. Or maybe you can get in there with a cutter, because maybe it's apart enough that you can cut, but I wouldn't do that because then I always end up cutting the fabric. So, anyways, there you go. I hope this has helped you, and we'll see you next time.